Everyone, this is Peter Palmiani, and this is Making Comics Unlocked, episode 381. And I have Jerk Comics with me today. Welcome.
What's going on, brother?
Just dealing with the crazy weather over here on the East Coast.
Dude, I feel you, man. It's like an Arctic tundra out at my house. At least most of the snow melted finally. So,
Oh, yeah, ours turned to ice, so we're dealing with that.
we got lucky. No ice yet.
Yeah. So let's see. First of all, we got Mo Biggs. What's this? I never agreed to any interview. um, yeah, it is what it is. It will pass. In another week, it will be 60 plus degrees here. So
Same here, man. Like Southern Illinois, like the weather is as drunk as the people. So if you don't like it, you just wait 15 minutes and it'll be different.
yeah, I'm out in Kentucky, so
Oh yeah, cool. Okay.
yeah, pretty nearby. Uh, so I know you originally from you're a YouTuber for anybody watching that doesn't know. From your YouTube channel, you were, on other channels as well. Richard Friend and what's Rob?
Rob Duenas, Sketchcraft.
Yeah, Sketchcraft. And but I wasn't aware that you yourself was an artist until I discovered your Instagram.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I used to not talk about my art a lot, man. Stuff has like really changed for me the last like 2 years. So I don't know. It's been a weird time, man. I'll say that much. Like I started drawing when I was growing up, and I got really serious about art like right around the time when my daughter was born, about 10 years ago. And I started doing tattooing, and like, sorry if I get like weird because it's strange for me to talk about, but I developed what's called an essential familial hand tremor.
right.
So my hands shake uncontrollably, and they don't know what causes it, and they can't medicate it. So I ended up losing my tattooing job, and basically was like so demoralized. I was like, I'm never gonna draw again, and like I put all of my stuff into a box and kind of forgot about it for a lot of years. And when I started doing the channel, like, for anybody who doesn't watch my channel, like basically what I'm really known for is like these super I'm just going to call them deep dives, since I don't want to refer to myself as like an OCD psychotic. But I did like a 10-hour documentary on Sam Keith and the Max. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm kind of known for. But my big love, like I grew up in the 80s and stuff, and independent comics was like this huge thing back then. And, with the Turtles and a lot of other stuff that came out of the Turtles. And there was like this community, Peter, like, I don't know if you remember, but like there was like this amazing community of people that like supported other creators and artists and stuff. And like, as much as I loved comics, like I grew up really poor. So I volunteered at a shop for like discounts on books and store credit and stuff. And I would meet all these guys, and like a big part of what I did and why I stayed at the shop was like recommending books and finding independent books and stuff. Like I remember when the Tick started, and like I got our shop to order the Tick, and like this, and Scud the Disposable Assassin, and like all these cool indie books. And like that part of comics kind of like went away for a while during the 90s, during like the big spec boom, because I was working, like I remember the death of Superman, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
And like Another like Valiant. When Valiant started, we had these dudes that we would call them the Men in Black, and like they were businessmen, dude, and they would come in and they would buy literally pallets of first issues. And for anybody who doesn't know, pallets are boxes of like sealed, issue ones, and they'd buy like 10 full retail boxes. And this huge spec boom happened, and then it all imploded when people started trying to sell those Death of Supermans back.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, I need my $50 back out of this. Well, I can give you 50 cents. And so like when I started the channel, I literally overnight went from having like, I think I had about 450 subscribers, and I put out that Sam Keith doc, which for me personally, like having been like kind of isolated from the comics community for a long time, I assumed it was going to be this niche thing.
Right.
Who's going to watch 10 hours of some random idiot named Jerk Comics, rant about Sam Keith and the Max for like 10 hours? And then like I hit 10,000, 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 views on this 10-hour doc. And like, I decided that like the big thing that I wanted to do with the channel, because those documentaries, I literally, I think I spent 3.5 years on that Sam Keith doc. And they are not easy to do. Like I research, I talk to everybody, I'll talk to like editors, guys that were doing lettering, guys that were writing that were editing the letters columns to see what's going on. So it takes me a long time to do that. And I was like struggling to find like, what can I do in the interim between these big videos? And a lot of the guys that follow the channel, for whatever reason, I don't know why they listen to me, but they're professionals. And I got a good cross section of guys that were, Marvel, DC, ex-Valiant guys, a lot of Dynamite, Boom, that kind of stuff. But there was all these awesome independent guys that were like, man, I put on your videos and like I listen to them while I'm doing comics, and like it gets me fired up, and it lets me focus on the board. But I also learn a lot about the industry and like pitfalls to avoid and like mistakes that you can make, and learn a lot from the channel. And I got to be good friends with a lot of those dudes, and they had these books that nobody was hearing about because, like I remember when there was, I think 7 comics distributors, like there was no one go-to Bible, and then everything turned into Diamond Previews.
Right.
And it was like shops. That was it. That was where you got your books, was Diamond Previews. So if you weren't in Diamond Previews, this, once monthly catalog, and you didn't have a full page ad, there wasn't even anything like Wizard. Because like I remember Wizard doing some coverage of like some really good books in Palmer's Picks and like that kind of stuff. There was no outlet, and there was like 1,000 faceless voices screaming out on the internet, competing for your dollar and like trying to promote their book. And like a lot of guys don't want to do that because it feels like really self-effacing. Like, buy my book. So I like went and I started getting a couple of guys that I thought weren't just professional level. Like when I looked at their stuff, I literally couldn't figure out like, how are people not getting these books? And I got super into promoting independent artists. And the only other big part of my channel is like talking about mental health, because the farther I got into comics, the more I realized that like depression and isolation and like mistreatment and this feeling of like kind of being an outsider in a lot of ways is just a big part of comic books.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to promote these guys. I want to get these guys out there. I want people to be reading these books. So I started doing these interviews, and like, I guess I'm a nice I guess I'm a nice guy. I think I'm a jerk. There's like literally everybody thinks my, the name of my channel is like a joke, but like I literally think of myself as a jerk. And like I got to be good friends with a couple of these guys. And there was one guy in particular, Victor Alpi, and like Victor's stuff was just like mind-blowing to me. And I kept pushing him to do a book and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And eventually, like, not only did he do the book, but he saw my art. And like Victor made a comment at one point. He was like, basically like, dude, you might not ever be able to draw the way you did before the Tremors, but like the fact that you're not drawing is like a travesty.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And I did there are a couple of my buddies that like follow the channel, and I hit on some hard times. And my buddy Phil, who goes by Comic Book Phil, he like just follows a lot of channels, like super supportive, incredibly nice guy. He was like, look, dude, I will pay you to do it was a Moon Knight homage of the McFarlane Batman 423 cover.
Right.
And I drew it, and I was like, dude, that was so fun. And then I did another drawing and another drawing, and the channel takes me so long to do these deep dives, and it takes so much out of me to do them that like I like literally wasn't making any money. I would get, I got 100,000 views on my banned comics that started Image Comic Stock. And like, I still wasn't making any money out of the YouTube channel, but like people would buy art from me. And stuff in my life like kept kind of devolving to the point where like I had a car wreck, and I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to fix my car. And if I don't fix my car, I can't drive to work. I'm going to lose my house.
Yeah.
And because I talk about mental health on the channel, like I share that with a couple of people, and they bought some art. And then I got more and more and more into what I really love about the industry. And like, for whatever reason, now I think it started with John Byrne and Terry Austin. Like when I really, really think about it, like inking is this obsession of mine, and nobody talks about it. What they don't, man. Like, it's like, if there's one part of comics that seems like this magic, mystic part of, the unspoken part of comic book, it's inking, and so I was like, man, I really want to start inking stuff. And so I started really, really, really pushing myself, and like, I ended up kind of having to step away from the channel. Like my wife was involved in a really bad car wreck. She broke 3 vertebrae and ended up having triple spinal fusion. And I just didn't have, I couldn't leave her alone, man. Like I wanted to be next to her, and I can't sit and just deep dive research and have stacks of magazines and be listening to interviews for 8 hours a day when I get home from my 10-hour day, because I work at I'm a fast food worker. So like I work full time there, and then I would come home and I'd usually spend about 8 hours a day on the YouTube channel. And like, it kind of snowballed to the point where I was able to like take a small step back away from work and do art and supplement my income like that. So it's been this like really weird evolution over the last like 2 years of my life where I'm kind of finally letting myself get back into art and enjoy it and like not be embarrassed. Like everybody always asks me, you know, why I don't like pencil and stuff on stream, and like I just can't, like seeing my hands, like I don't know, it's kind of hard to see on film, but you can like
Yeah, I can see it.
you know, it's like, dude, it's in, for me it's embarrassing. It's like I got my eraser in one hand and my pencil in the other, and I'm erasing for every 4 lines, and so like I just kind of like stepped back from streaming and doing a lot of stuff, but I was able to lock myself in my room with my wife and do art, and like I've gotten to know some like really, I've gotten some incredible compliments, and that like, especially last year, that kind of like changed stuff for me. And not too long ago, like I started like putting together a portfolio. I'm gonna ink, man. Like I've wanted to ink since I was like, I think 8.
You should, man. You should. Black Cat. Um, dude, it's like I know quality. I've seen plenty across the internet. Like I've been inking uh, most of what I do all my career, which I started back in '91. And I know quality, and I see your pieces, like you're inking over this guy and that guy and all these famous drawings and whatnot, and it's like each one is just as good. Like you're versatile and 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 just amazing. Like you should be inking a book or a couple of books.
That's where I'm at, man. Like I realized like when I think like the first big one was like Kelly Jones. Like saw a piece that I did that I recreated of his. Because I do these things. I love the old like the like 11x17 like posters that you used to get that would be like hyping up new series that came out. So I'll take like pinups or like covers or whatever, and then turn them into what like kind of what I call like faux posters, and they're like basically like old house ads. And like Kelly Jones, for whatever reason, like I said, I don't really understand it. I don't fight it at this point, but like I hit up Kelly and I was like, dude, I would love to do an interview with you. That's not just talking about Nightfall. Like your Batman work is incredible, but like I remember you on Micronauts, dude. Like, can we sit down and talk?
Yeah.
And like we ended up doing a 7-hour deep dive.
That's what drew me into your channel, the Kelly Jones interview. I love that.
Dude, I remember at the end of that first 3-hour session, like Kelly's hair is like, if you watch, like his hair is all like frayed out, and like Kelly's starting to talk like this, and like I realized, I was like, oh my god, dude, Kelly, I am so sorry, bro. Like I'll get off, I'll shut up if you ever have a little bit more time. Like I got about half of my questions out. And like Kelly looked at me and he was all hoarse and he was like, this was on a Friday, and he was like, what are you doing on Monday? And I was like, okay, cool. And getting that like compliment from Kelly Jones where he was like talking about my art. And then last year, like Rob Schraub is this like kind of monolithic figure in my life. I grew up obsessed with Scud the Disposable Assassin. And then like I remember him disappearing from the industry and then reappearing on Rick and Morty. And he hit me up out of the blue and was like, hey, can I use your documentary as the official 30th anniversary documentary for Scud the Disposable Assassin, and like put it on Schraub Home Video? And I was like totally blown away. I was like, well, of course you can freaking use that. Yes, And like we were talking, and he was like, he said the same thing. He was like, dude, I only knew about the channel. And he was like, I looked at your Instagram page, and like, you like, he's like, I've heard you talk about yourself. And he's like, you're a better artist than I ever was. And I was like, just shut up, Rob. Don't, let's not go there. But like getting that compliment from like Rob Schraub was definitely life-changing for me. And then I met Rob, like, I guess it was about 2 years ago, I met Rob Duenas, aka Sketchcraft. And like, dude, Rob is like just like one of the nicest people that I've ever known. And for whatever reason, like we really hit it off, and I started asking him questions, and he would spend like an hour breaking stuff down.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you do it. This is how you go about it. And then I started getting compliments from guys like you. And like, I remember you when I was growing up working on books and stuff. Like, it's like, I don't understand like how you got, I didn't get it. And I was like, well, at a certain point, even if I think you guys are wrong and crazy, why shouldn't I be doing something with my art?
Right.
So, like this year, my goal is to ink an issue of a book.
Nice.
Yeah, that's like, I hit a point where I'm like getting kicked around. I've been at the same fast food restaurant for 10 years, sticking stuff out for my kid and my wife. And like, something's got to change. And I am like, man, I think I could ink a book at this point. I really think I could do it. So,
do you have any leads? I'm just curious.
Dude, it was a couple of weeks ago where I realized I was like sitting down, and I had gotten home from work, and because like I grew up on like Extreme and like Sam Keith and Stephen Platt and this kind of thing. So like I will drop 30 hours into a piece.
Yeah.
Like it's not easy for me because of my hand trimmers, but like there is something for me, like being able to look at that piece when it's done that like brings me unmitigated joy. And I was like sitting looking at a piece, and I was like zoned out. I was just in that, that zone, Peter, where you're just like, like everything's like melted away, and you feel kind of free, and you're just there in that moment.
I know it, man. Like, I wouldn't be doing this long. Like, I haven't had the perfect career. I have been struggling more than not, but I don't give a shit. I just love comics. I love the community. I love what I do. And I just want to do more. It's like, I don't plan to retire. It's like, this is what I want.
Yep. Exactly, man. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like nothing else matters. It's that line. It's that moment that you're existing in, like right there.
Yeah.
That's just sublime. Like that creation, like the birth, the evolution of stuff. And like, I decided, I was like, you know what, man, I'm going to ink a book this year. And like, kind of like Rob is my Sketchcraft is like my sounding board. He did a Spawn book last year, and put me in the Spawn book. Like, who would have ever thought like Uncle Jerk would be in a freaking Spawn book? And I was like, Rob, I gotta ask you, man, like, you're an Image, you're hanging out with people. Like, do you honestly think I could do it? And like, he didn't even blink, dude. He was like, yeah, definitely. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Comics are different than, like, say, sports. Like, you got to train, you got to work hard, like at that. comics, it's an easy in if you surround yourself with the right people, and like.
But it's like this huge like luck game, of getting yourself surrounded by those right people.
Yeah.
And because of the channel, like I got this unprecedented access to people that are infinitely more talented and intelligent and experienced than I am.
Right.
And so I can like finally like utilize all of that to do something that I've dreamed of doing since I was like 8 years old, reading Hulk 362 by Sam Keith and Kelly Jones.
Right.
And like, because I have a hard time explaining like what comic books really mean to me. Because it's like, I'm dyslexic and dysgraphic, which like I know like a lot of people make fun of dyslexia. They're like, oh, it's the one disability you can make fun of. I can't tell my left from my right. And like dysgraphia is I can't tell up from down.
Mm.
And I grew up in a really poor part of rural Southern Illinois where I wasn't diagnosed with any of that stuff. And I was like 8, getting ready to turn 9. I couldn't read. I was not stupid, but I couldn't read. It didn't make sense. And I picked up Hulk 362, that fill-in issue by Sam Keith that Kelly Jones helped him on. And like the pictures were so beautiful, dude, that I was like, I just beat my head against a wall until I figured out, like, using the word bubbles, I was like, oh, there are like lines that go to this person, and then they go, I can follow the words just like I follow the art. And I figured it out, and I learned to read from comics. So they are like a massive, huge part of my life that I kind of like took a step back from when I was doing tattooing, because I got a lot of pushback when I was doing tattooing. You can't be doing comic book art. You can't be doing like this graphic design crap that you're doing. That's not what tattoos are. People don't want that stuff. And I have to have it in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's the best way I can explain it. It's like I want to go blind at the board. I want to like have my hands stop working at the board. I want to be Rudy Nebris at like 90 years old, busting stuff out. I want to be Alex Nino, mid 80s, still just crushing it with a brush pen. Like that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm finally like, you know what? I'm 40 something years old. Like, when am I gonna do it? Now. You better freaking do it now, man. So I just started putting together like a portfolio. Because mostly what I've been doing was like farting around and like making art that I thought, were like they're mostly like pinups and covers and that kind of stuff, and like those faux posters and stuff. Like I'm like gonna be buckling down and like doing sequential work for the next like 6 months or so. I think is like the big thing that I'm gonna be doing. So it's gonna be a big learning curve, man. And like I thought I was gonna be scared because like I get scared of so much. Like change is scary for me. Like trying something new and like, am I gonna get pushback? Am I gonna get are people gonna? I'm like so excited about it. Like for the first time, I'm doing something new and I'm like excited about it. So I'm like, yeah, I think I might be heading in the right direction.
Whatever you're afraid of, that will happen. But big shit, it's like, you do what you want to do. You put yourself out there, succeed or fail, you will accomplish what you seek, I'll mention really quick, just down below in the description box, I have your Instagram and I have your link tree. So people can follow you everywhere, seek out your stuff and whatnot. Yeah, man, it's like, I love inking, and My cat wants out. Okay. 1 second. Yeah, talk about something else, right?
Yeah, for anybody who does want to check out my stuff, check out the Instagram. That's mostly my art. Like I said, I do the deep dive documentaries. They're long, guys. 2 hours is a short piece for me. So YouTube channel, it is kind of inactive right now because I had to take a step back after my wife's accident and stuff. But
how is she doing?
She's doing all right, man. She had a triple spinal fusion and the fusion didn't take. So she's got like all this hardware in her back that is malfunctioning right now. It's been a struggle, dude. Like she was like, I was basically the guy who paid for like food and I was cheap childcare. I with my learning disabilities and stuff, school is extraordinarily hard for me. So I never did college. And I just kind of ended up with this fast food job as a last ditch effort when my daughter was born. So we didn't lose the house, but we relied mostly on my wife's income. She was a nurse and made real good money. Right. And I thank God I got into doing art, because literally that is the only thing that's been keeping our head above the water. And I think that's like another big thing, man. Like it was like, as much as I'm just messing around and doing pinups and stuff, like if I can keep our head above the water doing like messing around, like if I can just, nose of the grindstone, really, try to work, like it'll be okay. And art, like I said, is like really cool for me because I can sit in bed. Like I also, just because I am a broken, debilitated, like messed up guy that loves to whine about everything, like I also have like permanent nerve damage in my right leg. So sitting like in a chair, like this will be like, however long we hang out, this will be the longest I sit like upright in a chair. And like with my special cushions and like my special chair tilted in a special way, this will be the longest I spend in a chair this month. And like I figured out a way where I can like plank, which is like lay on my stomach and draw laying down. And so I can lay with my wife while she's like dealing with this pain and all the stuff that comes with, the loss of like, because I don't want to like throw my wife under the bus, but it's like when somebody takes the one thing that you do well away and you're in this excruciating pain, like a lot of depression comes with that.
Yeah.
And like being able to like hang out with my wife and like spend time with her while I'm doing something that matters as much to me as the channel does, I didn't think that would be possible. I can talk to her and hang out with her, and when she's having rough days, I can help her through the rough days, and when she's having good days, we can sit and laugh and watch a movie and stuff while I do art. And so she's doing as well as can be expected, but it's definitely not been easy.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I did a stream yesterday with a friend of mine who's going for back surgery and all that, and he's going to be not being able to work for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
And he, a friend of his put together a crowdfunding, a GoFundMe. So it's you do what you can, and whatever works and whatever spreads the word, and like I love your work, and I don't know you personally, this is the first time us chatting, but like I'll do what I can to push you in the right direction if I have any leads.
Dude, and if you have criticisms or tips or like, dude, this is what you need to be working on, these are the faults that I see in your stuff, like I'm looking for constructive criticism too, Peter, because it's like You know, I'm not joking. I think you remember when you first commented on my stuff where I was like, this isn't the Peter Palmiotti. Is it like, why do you give a crap about my art, bro? Like, what? And like Richard Friend has complimented my stuff. That's like, what?
He's done. Yeah, he's amazing. And he's done so many good books.
His Travis Charest and Chris Bacalo work is like, why? You don't think I'm horrible? Okay. I'll put that in the win column.
Yeah, he's super nice. I reached out to him a couple of times, and you know, he's a great guy.
Rich is so awesome, man. I miss doing the podcast with him so much, dude.
Yeah.
Like that was a huge like bolster for me to like be able to look at stuff and really pull stuff apart. Like that was another big learning experience, you know, having somebody like Rich like pull stuff apart and be like, well, this is how you do that, and you know, blah 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 blah. And like, man, why are you guys talking to me again?
He's doing like you know, he's talking about different artists, like he's uploading now again. You know, he went away for a little while, he's back again, and yeah, his insights, like, you don't have to take anything 100% what he says is true, but he just has a really interesting opinion and perspective and you know, knowledge from his own experiences that, you know, really adds to everything he checks out. And like, you know, I really look, you know, like he's talked about doing his own book, you know, and has delayed that for whatever reason, but the day that comes out, man, I'm right on top of it.
He's been working on it, man. Like,
yeah,
Rich just, you got to pay the bills, and
yeah.
You know, he had like you know, like life just sometimes doesn't allow you to put the effort, because I really don't think that he wants to put out something that's not up to his standards. And like Rich's standards are like having inked Travis Charest back at like the peak of Travis Charest. Like, I think your standards are going to be kind of impossibly high and hard to live up to. So
yeah.
But it'll get out there. He'll get it done.
Oh yeah. I'm not rushing the
guy. Sitting here, I just patiently wait. I'm like, yes.
But that's cool that, you know, you gotta put yourself out there, and you know, I definitely believe you got what it takes.
Dude, that means a lot, dude.
Yeah. So who else? Like, okay, so Alex Nino, that's like a favorite of mine. He's amazing. He's so organic in his work, and you know, just visually, like his design to everything is pretty amazing. Like stuff we don't see a lot nowadays, you know.
Yeah, he comes from that like fantasy kind of background, and like integrated that in with a lot of like the organic, like Bernie Wrightson, like a lot of the guys like Alfredo Alcala and stuff that were coming into the industry in the 70s as inkers and stuff, and then like really just made it his own. Like he did that video on his, like, I think it was his 87th or 88th birthday last year, where it's just him and a brush pen. And like 5 minutes, he busts out like a full page, like pinup that would, you know, take me 2 days to do. And I would never be able to touch the organic, that flowing, beautiful, organic quality that he has. This is like, dude, this puts gas in the tank, man. How old are you? How old are you, man? Like, shut up about your hand trimmers. So what if your hands shake? Dude's like 88. Like, you know his hands shake. Like, just do it, man.
Yeah, you know, it's like, I want to be one of those guys that better when I'm that age, you know.
I think Alex is one of those guys, man. Like, he really is. And like, I don't know, there's like a million guys like that I grew up with that were, and like, it was interesting, like the older I got, because, you know, like I grew up in that era where kind of like John Byrne was like the gold standard. He's like kind of like, the way that I would break it down to anybody who's like younger these days is like the Jim Lee, like that was John Byrne in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like the pinnacle, the height of stuff. And like, I remember seeing John Byrne without Terry Austin, and not even at the time, like realizing there was no Terry Austin and being like, what happened? Where did the magic go? And it's not that John's not super talented, because he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's infinite, magnificently talented, but like Terry Austin brought this magic, man. And like, there's a guy named Jeff Isherwood that like I remember, like I would find random Marvel comics when I was growing up, and they'd be like by super talented guys, but like there was like just something to me about his work that was like, this is incredible, dude. And like his ink work, like I've been going back and like studying a lot of Jeff Isherwood, and like Alfredo Alcala. When I was doing, I've always been into Alcala, but when I was doing the Jack Kirby deep dive, like at one point I got super depressed working on that documentary. It was like, well, nothing worse can happen to Jack Kirby. Oh wait, yes it did. And like the big kind of upswing to his career was when he went out and started doing animation. And like there is a lot of his, you know, pencils and inks and stuff, like from the early Marvel Comics period especially, are just gone because they got pilfered and stolen and given away. And like for anybody who wants to know, I do have a documentary called The Great Marvel Art Heist where you can go and check out information on that. If you're wondering what I'm talking about. But when you get into his animation stuff, those guys loved Jack Kirby, and they preserved all of this like beautiful pencil and ink work and stuff. And like I got to look at like Alfredo Alcala over the top of Jack Kirby and just like really pull apart a lot of like what he was doing with the production art. And that got me like way back down the Inkers rabbit hole again, man. I was like, dude, this is incredible. Like Jack Kirby plus Alcala equals like my mind is blown, which I would never think. You would never put that together. Like somebody who has this like Bernie Wrightson, Frank Frazetta, fluid, bubbly, round, organic style up against like somebody like Jack, who's like very blocky, very dynamic, very power pose. Like, but if you're good enough, like you just accentuate what's best about everybody involved, in my opinion.
You know, it's a lot of what's missing. Like nothing against, you know, people that do computer inking or even, you know, full art, but a lot of it's flat line work. There's no jazz to it. There's no juice to it, you know. It's what's missing a lot of times. There are still fantastic artists, and there's still artists that go above and beyond, you know, with the quality and of the line and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it was just abundant back in the day.
Yeah. It's taken me a while to like find guys that are contemporary guys that are doing it. Adelso Corona, I think, is like somebody that when I watch his stuff, when I watch that guy work, I just get juiced up, man. Like I want to go make art. Like watching him ink, like especially over Brett Booth and stuff, because I've gotten like over the last 6 months, 8 months or so, I've gotten really obsessed with Brett Booth. Because he's got like a Patreon and you can get access to his pencils.
Right.
And like he's super tight on his like figure work and stuff, but he's also very gestural. So like I was learning a lot about like how to interpret lines and line weights and stuff. And like watching Adelso Corona is just like, I wish that guy had a YouTube channel or he put out more videos, but just like watching him do even stuff, he put out a like maybe 5 or 6 part video of him doing inks over this David Finch convention sketch.
Yeah.
And like it's everything that I love about like early to mid 2000 David Finch with those like big blocky solid bold lines, but it's got all of the stuff that I love from Sam Keith and like Stephen Platt back in the day with these like splatter lines and like loose free nib work where you got the like buttons at the end of the cross hatching and stuff. And like, I just, dude, the guy gets me infinitely psyched up.
This is by the way, this is a graphic novel I'm making. Faction Paradox. It's gonna be like 150 pages total. It was originally a image series back early 2000s. It was me and Cal Fury. Cal Fury couldn't do it now. Like another writer took over the story with permission. It's going to be a graphic novel instead of a series, and it's going to be like a choose your own adventure endings.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So the new artist is a friend of mine, Les Lyndon Gardner. He's an amazing artist. He's doing, I don't know, God knows how many books. He's going with 2 different publishers and just has book after book after book. He's tremendously fast. As a penciler, he's able to do like 4 pages a day. You should see his studio because he's got a desk in front of him, to the left, to the right, and behind him, and he just
one of those multitaskers. Like, how do you do that, man?
Yeah,
how do you
he's
do
insane.
That?
He's so good, and so he has computer penciled this book, and I have to, like, being traditional, I have to wrap my head around some of the stuff he's doing. Like, how do I approach this that will mimic what he's doing without like me doing stippling or spending a year on a page, you know? But it's going to look great. It's going to look great. Like, you know, we did a pinup maybe a year or 2 ago, and just like for practice and whatnot. But we've been wanting to work together for years, you know. But yeah, this is really excited about this book, and we got Dan Kemp is going to be coloring it.
Nice.
You know, Spawn and Spider-Man and everything else. And it's just one of too many projects I'm on. This is the year I like finish projects that have been floating around for decades. And just like I got way too much work, too little money coming in, but I'm gonna muscle through, and God damn it, you know, it's gonna be better. You know, I'm gonna be a higher plateau in my career at that point. And I got, you know, one of the projects is my own book, Retro, which has been in the works for way too long. But yeah, I gotta get into penciling because inkers aren't making what they used to.
No.
You know, but it's all good. It's like I said, I love it, and I'll do it regardless, and I'll make my own path if I have to muscle through everything.
I have no doubt, dude. You've been powerhouse in it for as long as I can remember. You've worked with so many of my favorite artists. Like, it's just awesome. Every time I talk to you, I'm like looking at your feed and stuff. And like when you did the Blood Force cover for Blood Force Mitch, it was like, oh my God, dude, I've been pushing. Like, I remember like Mitch was following the channel and like he was so reticent to do a physical copy of the book. And I was like, this book is so much fun, bro. You have to get this in front of people.
Yeah.
And I was
like, I talked him into it. You know, I had to. He's really good. He's a really good artist. He doesn't need my inks, but you know, I was thrilled to work over his pencils. Came out great, and you know, that's for a future issue. You know, he crowdfunded the first issue. He's going to crowdfund at least 2 more this year, and continue on. I mean, he's penciling issue 6 of his book. You know, he's just, if that could possibly become his full career, that would be amazing, because we need that energy. Like I'm like following him and his friends now, because like I get so much from the young guys, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around all these bitching and complaining old timers that are doing nothing with their careers.
Dude, I totally feel you, man. And like Mitch is one of those guys that like when you talk to him, you're like, I remember what it was like to be an excited 20-year-old reading books again. Yes.
Yeah. You know, my like I started in 91. I was very, very green. But that's a good thing when you start, you know, to not know anything. But around 93, probably 93, I joined Valiant. You know, it was only as a background inker. This was when, you know, Bob Layton was in charge. So Jim Shooter and Barry Smith left at that point.
Yeah.
Because I would have been, you know, amazing to work with those guys. But Bob, you know, Bob knows his stuff, and he was pretty flashy back when. But the amazing thing is, like, with the studio, 97% of the staff were there in the office. Like, it was a weekly paycheck, regardless of the work you did. You know, they made sure you worked, but it was a weekly paycheck in an office building in Manhattan. I mean, everybody from penciling, inking, coloring, lettering, production, editors, writers, everybody was there. And it was the best experience I could have had. Yeah, I mean, now I work a lot on my own. I definitely enjoy being left alone to do what I got to do. But I also do the live streams. I also do these in private with people, you know, because I'll never know enough to work in this industry. There's always something new to learn, better ways of doing things, whatever, you know. Yep. It's just like you know, it's like I love comics and I just want to be a part of it. And, you know,
it's like a part of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like every time I learn something new, I feel like I'm finding a part of myself.
Yeah.
To like sound all weird and quasi philosophical.
Well, you know, back when I was a very young lad, you know, my next brother up, I have 3 older brothers, is Jimmy Palmiotti.
Yeah.
Jimmy's been in comics. He's the Hollywood high end of comics. I'm the starving artist. But it was our dad who took us to our first 2 comic conventions. The very first of which was in a crappy hotel in Brooklyn.
The best kind.
Off the bay. It was in the basement. It was a large ass room. All along the walls were people selling comics. But in the very center, under barely a light was George Perez, the first artist I ever met.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and it was amazing because it was like, yeah, he's doing Avengers, and we got to watch him draw. And my brother, my brother's a mouth. He was talking to George the whole time. He's the outgoing one, and it's like I talk plenty here in this environment, but in person, he's the one that gabs them much more. But yeah, it's like I just love comics. I love the people that create comics, the community, like you said. It's just amazing all around.
Yeah, it was like whenever you were talking about your buddy that has to take, a couple of months off, and a friend of his put together a crowdfunding for him. So it's like, that's the community that I'm talking about. And like, it's finally coming back around. I feel like a lot of that kind of like stuff it didn't go away, but it was like minimalized to an extent after the speculation boom, because when things went bust, it was real cutthroat. And we've had some like, unfortunately, a large part of my channel has been finding out about like guys that have really kind of like used and abused the industry or been used and abused.
Right.
So I spend a lot of my other time like trying to find the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part of like books that aren't from the big three, not Marvel, Image, and DC. And it's like, basically outside of that, man, everybody is really, and even a lot of times inside of it, I don't want to like discount, just because you work for Marvel, you're a jerk or whatever. But I mean, like you're fighting, you're jockeying for a position a lot more,
Yeah.
And independent books outside of that, like it's just this huge it's like a family. It's really to a large extent, and it just super awesome to like meet people like yourself and like talk to people and like hear all these great stories and like stuff that they've done for other people and things that they've learned from people. Cause it's like, I don't think you probably could have asked for a better artist, your first artist to meet, than George Perez. Like that dude was just infinitely giving with his knowledge.
Super sweet, super great. I mean, a guy of his level of talent, who is just street level conversation, like, open and just wants to talk to everybody and giving. And, years later, he actually did some work with Jimmy, for his own publishing company and whatnot. I love it. It's like, everything's a challenge in this world and in our lives. But especially now with you think everything's available to us 24/7, but that means everybody's looking at shit online for only a split second. They're not really paying attention. Like, I used to read comics, like independent comics, like we said, like Nexus and Distant Soil and all, Cerberus and all that stuff, from cover to cover multiple times, like until the next shipment of stuff came in,
I remember those days, my friend.
Yeah. And now there's so much of everything, you get drowned. But, those who love it make the time to experience it like it should be experienced.
Yeah, and we're still out there because that's why I have the channel. And that's why I got back into art.
Yeah.
Because I would take time to comment and I would talk to people and they're like, dude, you interact. And what? And people don't interact. You're widely, because it's like, for me, like I'm like 40 and I missed this like 10-year gap with the internet when it started. So I don't remember when it was like, you didn't have to go. I suffer from really, it's like silly for people that see me on camera, but like for me, like right now, I'm not Roman Rathard, which is like my real name. I'm Uncle Jerk. I'm from Jerk Comics. I can be a character and I can talk and I can share and be open and be vulnerable and happy and scared and that kind of stuff. But like, I've got really bad social anxiety. And so I had to quit going to cons. And so I stopped meeting people. But like with the invention of the internet, everybody is at, you know, one click away. And if you just put in a little bit of actual love and effort and actually pay attention and follow people, they will get back to you. They'll help you out. They will teach you stuff. Like, it's nuts, the people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
Insane. Like, there's no way Scotty Young had time to get back to me and shoot the crap with me. Like, that dude is just crazy busy. It's everybody, man. If you just follow them long enough.
I met Scotty once. It might have been, I don't know, it feels like 15 years ago. Maybe not that long, but he was always like, he was famous back then in a way that like blew my mind. Like, I'm just hearing about you. I'm seeing your work. Yes, you're highly talented, but why are people treating you like you're the Beatles? Yeah, he's great, and he does great work. And isn't he's writing Lobo in the new series? Yeah, that should be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I always dig his stuff, dude.
It's got a great artist on it. You know, I was watching Ink Pulp did an interview with the artist. Probably their worst interview ever, but the guy is freaking talented. So, because they tend to be a little funny sometimes, but great show. So we've got an hour. I give the floor to you. Want to promote anything? Want to just talk about your links? Anything?
I mean, like, I would say, like, if you guys are interested in comic history, if you want to learn more about, like, really the insider ball of comic books, like, you know, the good and the bad, I cover it all. Head over to my YouTube channel. You know, like I said, they're not short, they're longer documentaries. But I guarantee you, if I am talking about or with an artist or writer or creator that you're interested in, you will take something away from it. I don't do much good in my life. Like, I've never been very good at much of anything. My docs, I'm good at, and they're interesting. And I really feel like there's not a lot out there that are like them. When I say deep dives, they are friggin' deep dives, guys. Like, it's crazy, some of the info that people will share with you when they see that you're like actually passionate about and care about stuff. All views, subscriptions, comments, dude, they really help me out a lot. I've had to take a big step back from the channel over the last year, so there's not a ton of new content if you already follow me. But if you're getting into stuff, trust me, there'll be something that interests you, and you can watch the docs, you know, a couple of times and take new stuff away from them. If you're interested in supporting me moving forward, I would say check out my Instagram. You know, I do a lot of art. That's basically what I do now. I work 10 hours a day full time at my fast food job. I come home and I do about 8 hours a day of art. So, you know, I try to post consistently, and try to put out like interesting content from a lot of different guys. I'm trying to, you know, it's like Peter said, like, I really try to vary up my style. I try to do a little bit of everything, and I feel like I'm decent at most of it. So that would be, if you guys want to support me, you know, hit me up. I'm always doing art. I've always got art for sale. And any views and support on the YouTube channel is also extremely, you know, appreciated. Because, like I said with that Sam Keith doc, I'll spend 3 years researching a documentary because it cares about, you know, because I care about it. And Lord knows I never thought anybody would ever give a crap about me talking about Sam Keith and the Mets. Like, so yeah.
You're the 60 minutes of comic interviews. You know,
I do. I mean, it's like that Kelly Jones interview.
Yeah.
It's like 7 hours long, and people hear that and they're like, oh, face palm. And I'm like, dude, I swear I'm not just like yakking with Kelly. Like, we talk about everything. And like, there almost invariably comes a point in an interview where I ask someone about something, or I bring something up where they're like, their brow furrows and they're like, oh my God, I did that. How the hell do you remember that? Where did you, what? And I'm like, I love what I talk about, you know?
Yeah, yeah. There's a TikToker, I forget his name, but who does like a rundown of artists and writers, like comic book artists and writers. And it's however long it is, like a minute or whatever, and it's like a good scope of a creator. Like I grew up on Wizard magazine, and that was great and fabulous in its own right. But I also love the Comics Journal, which took me a week to read an interview.
Yep.
So, you gotta have balance in your life. One of this one of that one. Well, it's been a big pleasure having you on my channel, and chatting with you.
Dude, my pleasure, man. I appreciate you having on and listening to me yammer on and talk over you for an hour.
Oh, no problem. And as soon as you land a job, you're welcome back.
Hopefully it won't be too long. And if anybody needs your comic inked and you can't afford Peter, you hit up Uncle Jerk. I'll take care of you.
Yeah, well, we'll make that happen for you, buddy.
I appreciate it, dude.
All right, everybody who showed up in the chat and talked along with us, thank you for coming around. More people will see this afterwards. But it's been a great episode. And I'll be back tomorrow with some stuff. So till then, keep making art, keep making comics, and